Welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. We're here to help scale your business, build stronger teams, and sharpen your leadership skills. Hello and welcome back to the GrowthPro Edge. I'm Denise Killian with the GrowthPro Group. Today, we're talking about something that every business owner knows that they need, but most are overwhelmed by. KPIs, those key performance indicators. And here's the truth. Most businesses aren't struggling because they lack data. They're struggling because they're tracking the wrong data. So today, I'm going to help you cut through the noise and identify the KPIs that actually drive results so that your business runs with clarity, focus, and purpose. So let's start simple. KPIs are just key performance indicators, the numbers that tell you if your business is actually moving forward. But here's the shift I want you to make. KPIs are not just for spreadsheets. They are the dashboard for your business. Think about driving a car. You don't need 50 gauges, you just need the right ones. Speed, fuel, engine health. Same thing in business. KPIs should measure what matters most, keep you focused on progress, not just activity, and align your team around clear goals. Because being busy is not the same thing as being effective. But before you even think about KPIs, you need to answer one question. What are your top business goals? Not 15, not 10, just 1 to 3 priorities. For example, increasing revenue, improving customer retention, raising average transaction value, or improving operational efficiency. If your goals aren't clear, your KPIs won't be either. So here's a quick exercise. Ask yourself, what are the 3 most important outcomes I need this year to be successful in my business? And write them down. Because KPIs don't come first, clarity does. Now that you have your goals, we connect the dots. And every goal should have 1 to 2 KPIs attached to it. For example, if your goal is to increase revenue, your KPIs could be your monthly revenue growth or the average transaction value. Both of those are indicators as to whether or not you're meeting the overall goal of increasing your revenue. If your goal is customer retention, your KPIs could be repeating purchase rate or customer lifetime value. If your goal is efficiency, KPI cost per unit or service delivered. Your KPI could be revenue per employee. Here's the key. You want a mix of leading indicators and lagging indicators. The leading indicators tell you what's about to happen, and the lagging tells you what has already happened. And you need both. Not all KPIs are created equal. A meaningful KPI follows the SMART framework. You want to be specific, have a clear and focused goal, measurable that you can track consistently. It needs to be actionable so that you can take action to do something about it. It needs to be relevant, meaning it's tied directly to your goals, and it needs to be time-bound, where it's measured over a defined period. Here's what you should also avoid. Vanity metrics. Things like social media likes and website traffic with no conversions. If it looks good but doesn't drive decisions, it's not a KPI. It's just a distraction. So let's talk about where business goes wrong. First, you're tracking too many metrics. More data does not equal better decisions. It usually leads to confusion. Second, not sharing your KPIs with your team. If your team doesn't know the numbers, they can't influence them. And third, choosing irrelevant KPIs. Just because another business tracks it doesn't mean that you should too. And fourth, ignoring the customer experience. You can hit every financial target and still fail if your customers aren't coming back. So here's a simple rule. If a KPI does not lead to action or conversation, it's not meaningful. So, how you involve your team is where the magic happens. KPIs should not live in a spreadsheet on your computer. It should live in your team culture. Ask your team what drives performances in your role, what numbers reflect success. When people help define KPIs, they can take ownership of them. And then review them in regular meetings, keep them visible, and use a simple dashboard or scorecard. Because what gets talked about gets improved. Now, your business changes, and your KPIs should too. So you should set a quarterly check in, and this is the perfect time to do so as we're just beginning the second quarter. Ask yourself, are these still relevant? Are they driving action? And are we making better decisions because of them? If the answer is no, you need to make an adjustment. KPIs are not static, they're tools. So let's bring this home. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down your top 2 to 3 business goals and assign 1 to 2 KPIs for each goal. Then I want you to share them with your team and track them weekly. And finally, adjust as needed. And ask yourself one powerful question. If this number changes, would we act on it? If the answer is no, well, it's not the right KPI. And that's your edge for today. Stop drowning in data and start using it to drive results. If you enjoyed today's conversation and if you're ready for growth yourself, I certainly hope that you look us up at thegrowthpro.com and schedule a free growth call with one of our coaches. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors for 2026 in the GrowthPro Edge: Party Center Software, Roller, Betson, A&A Global, Simnox, Embed, and Schaefer Distributing. We appreciate what they do, which is to help us bring you a new episode of the GrowthPro Edge each and every week. I'm Denise Killian, your host with the GrowthPro Group. Keep growing, keep learning, and keep striving for the extraordinary.